Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank everyone who has made these past 3 days such a success. Ce fut un grand honneur de vous accueillir ici à Halifax cette année. Encore une fois, le forum a été un rendez-vous unique. It's truly been an honor for me to be the host here in Halifax, and once again this year the forum has been a unique gathering and a success. This weekend we considered an incredible range of issues. We reflected upon the consequences of the changing international order, asking ourselves tough questions on what it means to be in a world where emerging powers such as China are increasingly asserting their influence. We considered the numerous dilemmas that surface with new technologies, not only how we can better be prepared to face the new threats in the cyber and space realms, but also how we can best leverage new technological advances to make our world more secure, safe, and peaceful. Yesterday, I spoke about an issue that is of great importance to our government, and of course, that's Canada's Arctic. We explained how our government is working to protect Canada's sovereignty, promoting prosperity among Northerners, safeguarding our Arctic environmental heritage, and giving the people of the North a greater say in their own affairs. With the discussions that we had, we're now better equipped to address the challenges that we all face. In addition to all the topics discussed in the forum, we remained mindful of the ongoing global issues, such as the last-minute agreement reached on Iran's nuclear program. Our plenary sessions featured lively discussions on topics ranging from Arctic to cybersecurity, the increased use of robotics in warfare to global responsibility. Although these topics were varied, it was interesting to note that many featured complementary themes, including the most important, the need for global cooperation. The only limit to the issues and challenges we discussed, of course, was the limit of time. Because in Halifax, we wanted to give participants time to meet, network, and share ideas in less formal settings. This great Canadian province and city continues to serve as an ideal backdrop for these discussions. And it was my hope, of course, that these discussions continued at our 7 a.m. waterfront run. It was a great and brisk run this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, we were able to debate, consider, and discuss as a forum of friends, as part of a democratic family where values and interests, ideals, and realities work together to create policy options. Canada is proud of the role that the forum has come to play as a global gathering in the international prominence it has achieved. This is why the Government of Canada is pleased to continue funding this forum for the next 5 years. And I was delighted to host my first Halifax forum following the many years of great leadership from my good friend Peter MacKay. Thank you once again. It's been my honor to host this important event, and I look forward to being back again next year. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Minister Nicholson, and good afternoon to everyone. Bonjour à tous. Merci d'être avec nous aujourd'hui. And I can't tell you how pleased I am to be here with two very good friends. Firstly, my colleague, my seatmate, longtime mentor in many ways since arriving in Parliament, and the current Minister of National Defence. And I want to express to you, Rob, that we're so grateful for the passion and the leadership that you've demonstrated for this forum over the last 3 days. Thank you for the stellar job that you've done this weekend, as you do every day. And I know from speaking to some of my former colleagues in the defense and security world that you have been very warmly welcomed by the defense and security community and by our international friends and allies. As Rob has so eloquently set out, participants at this year's forum included a very diverse and dynamic group, but among them were 4 Canadians, 4 cabinet ministers, our Minister of Defence, our Minister of Foreign Affairs, John Baird, our Minister of Public Safety, Stephen Blaney, and myself. And we were very proud to represent in a strong way Canada's voice on the international stage and to take part in these ever important and increasingly important discussions. And we've accomplished what is not always possible in the rigor of our daily office work. We have discussed with frankness, listening to each other, and perhaps even setting new agendas for issues that affect all parts of the world. And that's really the magic of what this forum is all about. It's not every day that Canada is at the epicenter of the global discussion on security. And yet here we are, a premier gathering place to discuss global security issues right here in Halifax. Imagine. And I can say it was certainly an honor for me again to be part of this forum and to join the panel on global responsibility with Senator McCain and NATO Deputy Secretary General Sandy Verschbrouw, as well as UK Member of Parliament and former Defense Secretary Liam Fox. And I believe it was summed up best when Senator McCain said, quote, "Our values are our interests, and our interests are our values." So much that we do share, and yet so much that remains to be done. We were reminded that the world is an unsafe place, and not everyone has been afforded the rights and the freedoms that we cherish so much here in Canada. So we should never take things for granted when we look around. We are a very blessed and fortunate country. As Regional Minister for Nova Scotia, I want to also set out what a pleasure it is to see all of this happening right here in Halifax, and see that our city is recognized around the world for hosting a forum that approaches defense and security challenges in a fresh and engaging way. The diplomatic dialogue that takes place right here in this city this weekend is cutting edge and world-class, just like our city. A world-class city is Halifax. Cette semaine, notre gouvernement a réitéré son engagement à appuyer ce forum et annoncé l'octroi de fonds importants pour assurer sa tenue pour les 5 prochaines années. As Minister Nicholson has set out, our federal government is restating its commitment to this forum for another 5 years. Nous sommes conscients des retombées économiques de ce forum pour le meilleur des affaires de Halifax. And we've heard, as I've heard in the past 5 years, from the Halifax business community and city reps, including the mayor, that this forum is of critical importance, particularly at this time of year. We've heard that international events like this forum can act as a catalyst for growth for important industry, and that the forum generates several thousands of additional visits to restaurants over the course of the weekend. The hotels are full, stores are open and bustling, and the taxis who take them there and to take them to some of the wonderful historic sites in this city are also busy. And so, in mid-November, it's sometimes difficult for businesses to thrive, and yet certainly this was a very busy and prosperous weekend for Halifax. But it's not just the funding that keeps this forum growing. It's hard to not think of and to thank all of the organizations that come together to make this a success. I want to thank in particular the private sector sponsors, partners such as the Halifax Club of Canada, the Foreign Affairs Magazine, and the many other supporting organizations who provide their generous assistance to make this a reality. And I would include in that group the Westin Hotel and their wonderful staff and management who have played the host this weekend. And Peter Van Praag, you're at the helm of all of this. Your vision, your dedication, your creativity, you and your team make this forum possible. It's what causes it to become better, to grow in prominence and influence every year, and it is because of your personal perseverance and commitment that we are seeing the success of this forum resonate around the world. And finally, to all the volunteers, the incredible volunteers that have worked tirelessly for this event, because they believe in what it stands for, and they also benefit from their interaction with participants. We really can't do it without those volunteers. And last and not least, I want to thank the people of Halifax and the people of Nova Scotia. It makes me very proud when we showcase our province on this weekend. I commend everyone for their extraordinary hospitality to our extraordinary international friends. And we look forward to welcoming the world to Halifax again for the next 5 years. Feel free to drop in anytime, in fact. So thank you very much. And Peter, I'm going to turn the mic over to you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Excuse me, Minister Nicholson, Minister MacKay, members of the media, Today we conclude the 5th Annual Halifax International Security Forum. Our discussions brought together, here on Canadian shores, those on the ground facing consequential local threats, writers who challenge and influence the world's thinking on security, and decision makers who make the tough choices to generate new ideas and new thinking about the serious security challenges we face. We gathered against a diverse background of international events. We began with a commemoration marking the assassination of a beloved and dynamic American president whose shadow continues to tint our world. Over the course of the weekend, we discussed the most pressing security issues that challenge global security and stability. Today we conclude with the hope, a specific word for a generalized aspiration, and a word I use purposefully now. We conclude with the hope for the new international agreement between Iran and 6 world powers on the future of their nuclear program. Of the agreement, the American government states, the first step makes the world safer. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu deems it a historic mistake. This conference gathers those that make sense of these opposing perspectives, clarifies the meaning of specifically crafted words, and analyzes the reasons and interests of the players involved. Those who participate at Halifax do so with an unwavering commitment to the principles of democratic governance. We are a community of free thinkers because we come from free societies. That's why this conversation matters. I'm proud that that conversation has extended beyond this event, with more than 4 million people joining the Halifax conversation on Twitter. Interest in our conference trended in Washington, D.C., trending alongside America and Iran. The 300 participants attending this year's conference will continue to build a unique Halifax network of democratic thinkers. And we know that our success at Halifax is driven by the efforts of Minister Nicholson and Minister MacKay. Minister Nicholson has committed his time and his effort to build the forum this year, and he has set the stage for success for years to come by working with ACOA to extend the Government of Canada's investment in the Halifax International Security Forum for 5 more years through to 2018. Thank you, Minister Nicholson. Minister MacKay's vision for this event and his work to promote this forum, both at home and around the world, has created a bold, inspired, and unique conversation right here in beautiful Halifax, Nova Scotia, that is now recognized internationally. Minister MacKay's work has defined this forum and its ambitious growth. Thank you, Minister MacKay. I also wish to thank the Halifax Canada Club, my board of directors, Joe Hall and the Halifax International Security Forum staff, the Westin Hotel, and the city and people of Halifax. The 2013 Halifax International Security Forum may be over, but the conversation continues. Thank you.
Questions? Good job.
Thank you. Marika Walsh, Global News. This is a question for Minister Nicholson on the deal just struck with Iran. Prime Minister Netanyahu calls it a historic mistake, that the world is now a more dangerous place. Would you agree with his assessment?
Well, again, my colleague, Minister Baird, will be holding a press conference, I believe, just about as we speak. We've indicated that Iran is not just a threat to Canada and its allies, but it would also seriously damage the integrity of decades of work on nuclear non-proliferation. But we will evaluate today's deal on its merits, but more importantly on its verifiable implementation and unfettered access to all Iranian nuclear facilities. So we will have a very close look at it, and again, my colleague, Minister Baird, will be addressing this.
Minister Nicholson, it's Keith Doucette from the Canadian Press. Over here, back here.
Hi,
here we
sir.
are.
Yeah.
The U.S. and Afghanistan are working on an agreement, as you know, to keep their military commitment past certain dates. I'm wondering, has the U.S. approached Canada about keeping troops past the March 2014 deadline, and would you consider keeping a presence there for training?
We have been very clear, and we've been clear to all our allies and to everyone that we are removing our troops as of March 2014. That being said, we've already indicated that we are prepared to support the Afghan armed forces to the tune of a little over $300 million over 3 years. But again, we've been very clear about our withdrawal in March 2014.
Jane Tabor.
Hi there, Jane Tabor from the Globe and Mail. Minister Nicholson, it was the Deputy Secretary of NATO, Alexander Vershbow, who was on Peter MacKay's panel yesterday, who talked about the fact that there's a perception that Canada is de-emphasizing its role in NATO. And I wonder what you think about that.
I don't know where that, what would be the basis of that. And again, if you have a look at the history of NATO, not just in the last year or so, but indeed over the last at least 60 years, Canada does more than its share. And on a per capita basis, Canada does more than its share. So Canada has been a strong supporter of NATO, and we will continue to be. And again, if you look at every effort, international effort that NATO has been engaged on, you will see Canadians, and we do at least our share. And again, an analysis will show you that on a per capita basis, we do more than our share.
One of the things he did mention, though, is the fact that we're getting out of Afghanistan and not continuing our role there.
Again, there's a number of countries that are looking at what's taking place in Afghanistan, and we have made a tremendous contribution in Afghanistan. We have made a difference. The country is better off for Canadian participation. We've paid a great price, and we've made that commitment. And again, we can be very proud of our efforts in Afghanistan.
Any more questions? Well, thank you. That concludes our press conference.
All right. Thank you very much, sir. Excellent. Again, all the best. This is good.